welcome back to Party Trick Astrology. I'm Nina.
I'm Shaina.
And this is your Aries rising.
This is the last video in our rising series.
Took us long enough.
I know.
Aries is ruled by Mars. It's a fire sign, a cardinal sign.
Mm-hmm.
This body part that it rules is the head. And it's the ram.
Mm-hmm. What comes to mind is just like, ah!
It can be like raw and aggressive, but at the same time, Aries rules the first house. So I feel like kind of, depending on the Aries rising, whatever the Aries rising does is just kind of socially acceptable.
Yeah.
It can be a Scorpio with an Aries rising and they can color their hair weird ways like Scorpios like to do, but it's not seen as like a, oh, you're weird. Your hair is blue.
It's just like, that's what it is.
So trendy. She's doing it. It's such a thing. Like for an Aries rising, kind of whatever they do, I feel like, is pretty much socially acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if people, because Aries risings can come across as aggressive or harsh or even rude, but no one really questions them.
Yeah, but nobody is ever like, you're rude.
Yeah.
Everybody's just like, that's what they are.
Yeah, that's
They're just rude.
Hilarious how rude they are.
Yeah, I think it is a thing that they don't even realize that they are definitely more accepted than other people. And not necessarily saying like if you're an Aries rising, you've never felt like an outcast, you've never been bullied. That's not what we're saying. But it's more just
naturally fitting in.
Yeah, but at the same time, Aries stands out. So it's this, you know what I mean?
Because Aries does want to make a presence, not as dramatically as Leo.
No.
It's the natural ruler of the first house.
It's just easy.
I'm here. Here I am. Not gonna yell about it, not gonna scream about it, but yeah, I'm here and you notice me.
And unless you have an interception, all of your like house cusps line up how they would like. So everybody's just kind of like, yeah, even if I don't agree with it, that kind of makes sense. Aries risings are definitely the natural born leaders, and they definitely will kind of take assertion wherever they are, and they don't even have to tell everybody that they're the leader. They just kind of go somewhere and are like, yep.
They kind of assume it and people don't question it if Aries is the leader. Aries is notorious for being very intense and like a bam, it comes to them immediately. And that makes sense when you think about the way that their house placements line up. Because say they have Venus in Libra and their Venus is in the 7th house. It's a very intense manifestation of the planet Venus.
Yeah. So everything they do is just kind of more intense and exemplified, and Mars is right there on your first house, and so that makes people very, you might kind of get that you're a little bit aggressive or a little bit like, whoa, but nobody's going to really
be that put off.
I remember the first day that an Aries rising came to this place that I used to work at. She was there the first day and instantly everybody knew her. She already fit in. She was already part of the friend group. It was just kind of like everybody just naturally accepted her, and I feel like she kind of gets that wherever she goes of just like, yeah, that's who you are. And it's a very extroverted sign, so they're very good at meeting people, and I think there's just a natural ease when it comes to asserting themselves with people that it's not like Scorpio where it can be intimidating and people can be put off. I think Aries energy can be very inviting, so people are more open to it, you know, than...
And the intensity that Aries experiences versus what Scorpio experiences is very different, because Scorpio, we're going to compare, I guess, because Scorpio is also ruled by Mars. And they're both very intense signs. Scorpio is an 8th house kind of intensity. It's everything that's hidden. It's everything that's taboo. Scorpio feels its intensity alone. Scorpio is 1,010,000,000 times more misunderstood than Aries, because Aries is so simple. The intensity then an Aries rising can feel with its Mars in Cancer in the 4th house is a natural intensity, because it is what it is.
Like, I was just gonna clarify, like, when you said simple, it's not necessarily saying that like you're simple, but it's just like it makes sense.
Yeah.
A Scorpio's reaction, or almost any other reaction, might not always make sense to the scenario at hand. But an Aries rising reaction to things or people makes sense. So it makes it simple, because it's like, if this is what's happened, then this is how you should react, and that's how an Aries reacts.
Simple, as in the opposite of complicated, instead of simple as the opposite of interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good Mercury and Capricorn way to put it. Aries rising, one of my favorite things about Aries risings is that they never know how to dress themselves. And even if they're fashionable, because I know almost all the Aries risings I know after thinking about it have a lot of fashion sense. But at the same time, they'll always kind of look like their outfit is haphazardly thrown together. Like it's gonna be like a baggy shirt maybe, but they'll still do their makeup, you know? Or it's just like, it's interesting. Or like the whole point of their outfit is that it's supposed to look thrown together. Or like I know somebody with an Aries rising and Venus in the first, and he like he would glide on air, right? But his outfit was always like very Venusian and elegant, but at the same time, it was never too complicated and it didn't always match, but you just kind of accepted it because it's just like, sure. Yeah.
I feel like Libra risings and Aries risings are the ones who are like, I can wear whatever I want as long as my makeup is done. As in like show up to school in Uggs and leggings and like a pink Victoria's Secret pink sweatshirt. But the way that Libra risings do it is I'm casual, but I'm still beautiful. Aries rising, it's much more primal. It's about sex. It's like, I'm casual, but I'm still sexy.
Yeah.
Aries risings can be very sexy in like that you go to the bar and you see the girl and she's an Aries rising and she's just like, she's the sexy one.
Yeah.
She's just sexy, you know? It's not like,
it's not, it's just, we always say it whenever we do an Aries video, it's just like, it's too simple because it's just, it is what it is. Straightforward.
And Aries wants to be straightforward.
Yeah,
Aries just wants to charge through with its ram horns and like straightforward, to the point, A to B immediately. Taurus is like A to B in a gradual amount of time. Aries is A to B right away.
Let's fucking go.
I feel like Aries risings are shorter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
They can be like full, because they're sexy, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe it's like a fit kind of sexy.
Yeah, they can definitely naturally be more fit, or like, because they have a lot of energy that they need to exert.
And they're just like little, that's why I think they're like smaller, because they're just like little balls of fire that they just gotta, you know? I feel like an Aries rising will either have a butt or a chest still. Yeah, one or the other. It's not like a very full, voluminous hourglass type of shape that's very Venusian.
No, that's, I don't think of
Taurian.
it. It's like, well, for female,
Yeah. It's like athletic and butt or chest. One of those. I feel like the Aries rising or Aries influenced face is the easiest to identify, because it is just like everything, gravity is like taking everything up. Their eyebrows are more pointed up. They don't have very arched eyebrows.
Yeah, they
have eyebrows that go up severe, like ram
kind of
horns.
like that angry eyebrow, you know?
And like cheekbones that are up severe, just like a severe looking wind tunnel ram face.
Yeah, definitely.
Just sharp and Mars. Mars is very like harsh, so it's harsh lines with the jawline, with the cheekbones, with the nose even, and just Aries eyebrows are 100%. I know like Aries people who style their hair in the way of like, you know how you like pin back pieces?
Yeah.
Like that, to the point where like it rolls over and it kind of looks like that's where their ram horns would come out.
Yeah. But they're also can be kind of goofy, I think.
Absolutely.
Because they're very comfortable with themselves, so they're comfortable to be goofy and run around, and like it's interesting because they don't necessarily want to be the center of attention, nor do they want to go in the background. They're fine in whatever scenario that they are. Because sometimes, like if they're in a work environment, they can be quiet or whatever, but if if something happens and they happen to be the center of attention, they're like, okay, then I'm the center of attention. But if I'm not, I'm fine with not being it either.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's just like they're just very comfortable in whatever social scenario. It's hard to make them feel out of place.
That's why they feel more comfortable being silly, because you know, a Cancer rising can like act goofy but then feel the repercussions of being socially made fun of just been like, oh, that girl's weird, or like lots of signs can be goofy and be looked at as weird, but it's hard for an Aries rising to elicit that kind of reaction because whatever they do is kind of just more accepted. So if you think of someone who's just an Aries rising, they can likely be just crazy. But if they're crazy, you're like, I love it. Like frat boy. Think frat boy. Like,
totally.
Oh my god, Malcolm just like kegged the whole keg. He's crazy.
Yeah.
And you don't think like, maybe if Pisces rising would do it, you'd be like, wow, that guy is crazy.
Like,
you think
they're
we
about
should
to
pump his stomach and take him to the hospital? Like Aries rising is like, that guy's crazy. That's
cool, though.
That's so Malcolm. You know?
Yeah.
That's I feel like what
They
you
jumped
say.
off the roof. Of course they fucking did.
I feel like you say that about like Aries risings, like that's so insert Aries rising's name.
Shall we get into the 7th house of partnerships?
Of course. The 7th house of partnerships. Every Aries rising has their 7th house ruled by Libra,
Ooh.
which is the house of relationships ruled by the sign of relationships.
So it's exactly where it wants
How
to be.
natural.
How natural. And even if you have an interception, you still have this Libra 7th house.
Because all houses work in opposite pairs, no matter your interception.
You think of Aries as a typical masculine energy, so what you're attracted to, no matter your gender or sexuality, is the typical feminine energy, because that's Libra. So you're definitely looking for just somebody who's beautiful. As shallow as that may sound, that is something that is very important. I knew an Aries rising in high school, and all of his crushes were the most basic bitches ever. And you would not expect it coming from him, but like, why you only liking basic bitches? Just because what were they? They're pretty, and that's what he's attracted to.
But it's also not just beauty, because the first house, Aries, is about identity, about individuality, and the 7th house is about partnerships, relationships, the other half, everything other. So what Aries rising is looking for in a relationship is truly a partner. Everything that really the feminine represents, which is, you know, a loyal partner, someone relationship oriented. I think Aries risings are the ones that are the most relationship oriented because of
their 7th
house in Libra. What you're looking for is someone really to be your partner and to show you the other side of yourself, because you're not just this simple person where everything kind of falls into place, you know?
Yeah, of course
you
not.
want to see the other side of yourself. So even if you can be very independent and individual, you are one of the most relationship oriented rising signs.
Because people are relationship oriented, and Aries risings
Is what defines the people.
yeah. Something really quickly that I realized is that Aries risings definitely also have big foreheads. That's just something I wanted to add
There's
in.
space for their ram horn.
Yeah, definitely. Also, really quickly, I mean, I don't think we mentioned this because it's like too obvious, but like Aries risings can pop off. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we didn't mention it because it's just like duh, but like they're like aggressive. They can be aggressive, usually when they're just like have to defend themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it calls for them to be aggressive, then they definitely will get in your face and defend themselves. Like, if you think, because like Rihanna's an Aries rising, duh. Like all of her gifts are always like, you know what I mean? Like they're sassy.
Because
Aries risings are sassy. And
you
like,
can't hide your first house.
No.
So in your first house, your ascendant is an Aries. You can't hide that just natural aggression
Yeah.
if it's necessary to use. You're not going to hide that part of yourself.
And Aries risings can be selfish, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Everybody needs to be a little bit selfish. You have that 7th house in Libra to help, you know, be into relationships. But, you know, they are definitely like,
Me first.
me first. That's why they'll defend themselves, and that's why they can get in people's face, because they're like, well, don't poke me, don't prod me, like I'm fine unless you poke it. Then I'll like be like, it's just kind of like if the situation calls for being goofy, then they'll be goofy. If the situation calls for being sad, then they'll, you know, it's very realistic in that sense.
And they also don't hide their sexuality.
No.
Yeah, they don't hide any of that Mars kind of stuff that Mars rules.
It's such a just go there now, kind of like Ram is like ooh, fire is like cardinal is like ooh, like everything is just like.
In fact, you can be prone to getting headaches, maybe because you ram your ram horns into everything all the time, or you could just really like scalp massages.
Okay, so that is our whole rising series and skits done.
Yes, closing time.
We hope that you enjoyed the series.
We are going to keep doing skits, but because this was so time consuming for our next series, our Venus series, we're going to do one skit for all the Venus signs and then do sit down videos so we can crank them out faster and do more series.
Yes, we have a few videos though that we're going to put up first.
In the interim.
Yes, and I don't know when this stuff will go up or what's going to happen, but Nina is going on a month-long vacation.
It's not a vacation, bitch. It's a serious Eat, Pray, Love Part 2 study session.
Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you'll see us soon. Okay, bye.
Goodbye.